Come here. Do you want to know a super secret way to build equity without actually purchasing a property? Don't need a down payment, don't need a qualifier for a mortgage, and you can use any property that you like. It sounds too good to be true, right? Nope! And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. So stick around to find out. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about real estate in Vancouver, subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to learn what's going on in the current market. My name is Megan Becker. My team and I get calls every day from people looking to make this incredible city their home. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give me a call, text, or email, and I'm excited to help you make this move to the best city in Canada. Now, let's talk rent to own. Real estate in Vancouver, it's not inexpensive, and it can be really tough to get into the market. But, as most of you know, there is a ton of upside once you are in. And I love helping people turn the far off pipe dream of owning real estate in Vancouver into a reality. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a program called Rent to Own and what the benefits are compared to renting, so you can figure out if this might be your best way to get into the Vancouver real estate market. You might have heard the term thrown around or on advertisements or online, things like that. But let's first define what an actual rent to own is. This is where a real estate investor would purchase the property of your choosing. You would pay rent to that investor, and then there's terms in place that stipulate the amount of rent, when, and how much you are going to eventually purchase that property for. There's also terms in place to give you the option when those terms come up to either potentially extend the term if things haven't changed for you financially and you're not ready to make the purchase, or if things have changed in the other direction and you don't want to make the purchase. You can specify things in that agreement so that you can back right out and don't end up purchasing that property. Now, this is all typically done through a rent-to-own company. There's multiple available. I've got a few that I've worked closely with who I really trust their process and their advice that they give our clients. They specialize in the process. They've got contracts in place to help protect you. You would agree on a fixed rent for the term, and there's usually an initial deposit that is going to be held for the duration of the term, and that deposit goes towards your down payment if and when you decide to purchase the property. Okay, so let's compare renting to a rent to own. So one of the reasons that prevents people from getting into home ownership is saving up for that down payment. Another thing that prevents people is maybe your income is all over the place and you're having trouble qualifying for a mortgage. Maybe you're self-employed and you're not claiming a lot of income, or you just started your own business. There can be a lot of different reasons why home ownership might seem far off into the distance or might seem unattainable. I always say we are the least capable people of knowing what we're capable of. It's kind of a life coach motto, and that's the value of having someone in your life that can help coach or guide you. At the end of the day, you got to make the decision to figure out what is in line with your goals, but having a conversation like this to actually open up your eyes to help you realize that home ownership might actually be a little bit more attainable than you thought. So if you are renting, you have your rental amount. And here in BC, that amount can go up a maximum of 3.5% every single year. Another downside is if your landlord decides to sell. Another downside is if you have a terrible landlord. Little story here. I just sold a property to an incredible couple, and that was one of their biggest excitements of getting into home ownership, was not having to deal with their landlord. Now, their landlord was, let's just say, not the best landlord.
What's this I smell?
And it made their living situation very, to the point of being unbearable. And that was one of the reasons why they were so excited to get into home ownership, because they had control of the property. They had control of when things got fixed. They had control of basically the whole property there. Whereas when they were renting, they shared with me some really unpleasant situations. And so again, when you're renting, you don't have control over certain things. Here in Vancouver, there is high rental prices. And that's the unfortunate thing. You have a good chunk of your monthly expenditure going towards rent. And at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it other than, maybe a cool place to live for the term of that rental. But when and if you decide to move, then you've got nothing. Whereas with the rent to own, the pros here are that you can lock in a fair rent price for the duration of that term. Now, the term, it can be agreed upon between you and that investor, and that rent to own company will help you put that in place and help you make sense based on your current financial situation when that makes sense. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 4 years, whatever that term is, and you have that agreed upon set amount of rent that is going to be in place, and it's not going to increase for the duration of that term. Part of that also goes towards a forced savings for your down payment. So that rent that's going to that investor, a portion of that is being held that is eventually going to be able to go towards your down payment when and if you decide to purchase the property. The next thing, which kind of goes without saying, is that when you are renting, there's no ability to ever be an owner and build up equity, which when you're looking at the Vancouver real estate market, that is where you want to be. Vancouver is known for its appreciation in real estate, in the value of real estate. And so the faster that you can get into the market, the sooner that you are going to be able to build equity. And you have zero chance at doing that when you are renting. Whereas with a rent to own, you can start building equity from day one of becoming that tenant buyer. The pro of a rent to own is that you have equity starting day one as that tenant buyer. You have a locked in buyback price of your property at the end of that term that's set in place there. And that's the best part. You can start building equity from day one and eventually be an owner. The next point when it comes to rent to own, like I mentioned, you as the tenant buyer can choose any property. That's one of the pros, is that you can go out and whatever type of property, whether that's a condo, whether that's a single family, maybe a duplex, a townhouse, whatever area that you want to be in. Whereas the downside of renting is you only have what's on the rental market. That's your selection there. So if there's nothing in the area or the property type that you want, it's a tough situation to be in. Whereas with the rent to own situation, you can choose whatever property. And that brings me into the next point, is that you could, as the tenant buyer, select a property that has a suite in it. So this could be a duplex, this could be a triplex, this could be a fourplex. And now you as a tenant buyer in this rent to own situation, you now have the ability to be in one suite and potentially earn income from 1, 2, 3 other units that are a part of that property. So you as the tenant buyer, because you are eventually going to be taking ownership of that entire property, you can now collect the rent for those individual properties. That being said, if you are in a situation where you're doing a rent to own for a fourplex, obviously that rent payment is going to be higher, but now you have that ability to earn income from the other units. So you can be strategic in how you put this agreement together. And that rent to own company is there to assist you. The ones that I work closely with, they will do financial coaching. They're not, financial planners by any means, but this is what they do and what they specialize in. So they want to help you sit down, look at your finances, look at your credit, help you figure out how to make a plan. And they will, some of them will set up monthly, bi-weekly, weekly calls with you to help make sure that your finances are on track so that you are putting the appropriate amount in savings, or if you're self-employed, making sure you are being strategic in what you're claiming there and everything like that. Obviously, in those situations, you want to chat with your accountant. You need a good team of professionals there to make sure that you are doing this in the right way. But you do have that ability, to start building equity day one, to start being an owner, and to potentially earn income from a property. So I hope you're getting value from this video. I'm curious, put it in the comments. Have you ever done a rent to own? What are your experiences like that, pros and cons? I'd love for you to share. And really, to sum it up, there's a lot of strategies to help people get into the Vancouver real estate market. And I fell in love with this city for the lifestyle, for the scenery, for just what it is and the diversity of people here. And so I love being able to strategize and help people make home ownership a reality, because the sooner that you can get into the market, the sooner that you can create wealth. I always believe real estate should be a reflection of your lifestyle. And so I want to help you use real estate to accomplish some of those bigger picture goals that you have in mind. And building equity and owning real estate in my opinion, the best city in Canada is one of the best ways to do that. And the second thing I love is strategizing and really helping you, first of all, getting to understand your goals, your desires, your lifestyle, and being able to strategically put a plan in place. And I'm connected with a lot of professionals to be able to help you make that plan a reality. So I'm trusting that you're getting value from this video. If you're curious about renting to own, the whole rent to own program, please reach out. All of my description is in the description box below. Again, I'm Megan Becker, local realtor with eXp Realty. Please reach out. I would love to chat real estate and help you get even closer to that goal of making owning real estate here in Vancouver a reality. And until next time, there is what's called a hot chocolate festival going on in Vancouver right now. So I'm gonna go meet some friends and we are gonna taste test some oh so fancy hot chocolates. See you guys on the next one.